California is on fire. Is it divine punishment? Is it climate change? Is it nefarious machinations and manipulations of dark actors from behind the scenes that are responsible for these unprecedented fires? In this video, we will apply esoteric analytics and astrological decoding of the situation to give answers to these questions. Massive fires ravaging through California on a scale never seen before. A series of fires have engulfed the state, and we have been seeing apocalyptic images, people fleeing and massive fires everywhere. Structures have been going down, houses, I think something like 50,000 acres destroyed in total with all the different fires, 16,000 structures, houses, and so on, completely destroyed, up to 30 people dead, and billions of dollars of damage. I think something like $250 billion in damage. This is really a scale that has never been seen before. It's the largest, most destructive fire that has hit California ever before. And there have been a lot of thoughts and a lot of ideas around for why this is happening now. As we know, as people well versed in the spiritual sciences, there ain't no coincidences. There aren't any coincidences. There's only serendipities and synchronicities, and things happen at a given time because the spiritual quality of the time is ripe for that thing to happen and for it to manifest. So why did this happen at this time? What's the meaning? What's happening here? So there have been different perspectives. And in this video, we're going to apply the esoteric analytics to answer and to understand what's behind the different narratives that have been offered to explain this news, right? To explain what's happening there. And we are going to get first into the background. I'm going to give you the background so you know the different ideas that have been presented. The first one is, very importantly, obviously, the official story that's been presented by the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. He stepped in front of the world, and he said that this is climate change. This is climate change. Climate change is exacerbating. It's reaching levels where, the state now needs to act. We all need to act. More power to the state. Climate change is an emergency. And not unsurprisingly, lots of international organizations have been backing him. They came to his aid. They've been saying, yes, we've been saying this for a long time. It's climate change. Climate change is, there you go, climate change. And now you need to act. States need to act, right? So that's been the official story, right? Now, a second narrative or a second perspective came directly from President Trump, right? President Trump posted on his Truth Social. He said that this was negligence, mismanagement, right? Negligence, mismanagement, especially about the water, specifically with Newsom. He should have let the water come in, and he kept it for whatever reason. He'd just been negligent. A third perspective offered is that this was God's punishment at work. That this was God's punishment. Why? Because, well, Hollywood, as we all know, has been not exactly the most God-loving place, right? The most kind of devout place. Quite on the contrary, Hollywood has been producing all of these very godless contents and outputs to send out into the world. And just days before the fire started in California, there was this ominous event at the Golden Globe Awards where some moderator, she actually mocked God, right?
Moms are holding strong with 3 shout-outs. God, creator of the universe, 0 mentions. No surprise in this godless town.
So now that's the second narrative. The third narrative that has been presented by Alex Jones, by none other than Alex Jones, is, he has always his finger on the pulse with things that are happening. Or sometimes he's off, but other times he's been seeing things that others haven't seen, and then others came around to seeing it actually being true. So it's important to listen to him. And he's been saying that this was a deliberate attack. This was a deliberate attack using some military, advanced weapons, and even doing all kinds of other things. The ban on flight on flying over the zone, which the Biden administration still was able to impose, and several other things. He lists a whole series of different indicators which point to this being a deep state, globalist, kind of aligned, democratic action that was specifically, enacted in order to get rid of that, of that area. So there are some ideas that there's supposed to be a smart city built specifically in the place that burned down for the 2028 Olympics that are coming, and so on. Several other ideas that, you can see if you check out Alex Jones himself.
This is perfect administrative, economic, industrial sabotage. This is destruction. This is scorched earth. This is siege by design.
Now, question is, what's happening here really? What's happening, right? All of these ideas are being presented. People are saying like, okay, what is this? Is this God's punishment? Is it the globalists doing this? Is it, is it just negligence? Is it climate change actually, right? Is it, what's happening here? So we are going to answer this question in this video. Obviously, as we do on this channel, when you're with Dr. V, you know that we look behind the scenes, and behind the scenes doesn't here in this context, in this case, doesn't mean just investigative journalism, but it means investigative metaphysics, right? Because we look at the spiritual forces, the divine forces, the divine and demonic at times, right? That are battling with each other through the lens that we have, through the tools of higher analysis, esoteric analytics that we have. And we apply those to understand what's really going on. And we find out the underlying causes, the archetypal causes, which so many other people miss, right? And that's when everything starts to make sense and it falls into place. So astrologically, we had during this time, we had a Mars-Pluto opposition, right? Which was going on for some time, right? People, my followers on this channel, that we have seen, subscribers on this channel, I've talked several times about the Mars-Pluto opposition being a marker of intense confrontations, geopolitical confrontations, but obviously fires are very much also, catastrophes and fires are very much also fitting with the archetypal symbolism, right, of Mars-Pluto opposition. Now, the Mars-Pluto opposition was pretty much perfect at that time when the fire started, right? But now check out this chart. I'm going to show you a chart which adds such an interesting perspective to this whole story, right? So when you check this chart, right, this is the chart for when the fires started, right? On January 7th is when the fire started, right? And yes, okay, we do have a Pluto opposite Mars exact, right? And the moon also is your, the moon of people who are affected with Chiron, right? Wound, painful. People are painfully affected by this opposition, right? Of this fire, right? Okay, that's there. But now, have a look at this. Now, this Chiron, which is in a wide conjunction to moon, and which stands for the painful, the pain of the people, right? It's in opposition to, you can see this here. I'm going to zoom in more so you see this better. It's in opposition to Lilith. Lilith, right? Lilith is here. So Lilith is an important point in astrology. I'm going to tell you in a second what it is. And Lilith is exactly conjunct the asteroid California. Cali, right? Cali has its own asteroid, right? Like major places, right? Major places tend to have their own asteroids. So okay, so you can see here, the hurt, the injury, right? The pain, the injury that hits the people in opposition to Lilith and California, right? Lilith, California. So what does it mean? I'm going to tell you what it means, right? I'm going to give you the explanation. So we have to know, first of all, we have to know what Lilith is, right? Lilith. So Lilith is a figure from the Hebrew tradition, right? The biblical tradition, right? Or the Hebrew mystical tradition really, but also obviously foundational for the Christian Hermetic tradition, which derives from that tradition as well. And Lilith, in the narrative, in the legend, was the first wife of Adam, right? So Adam, before being with Eve, had a wife called Lilith. And Lilith, she refused to submit to Adam, right? She refused to accept the leadership of her husband, of Adam, right? She refused to submit, and she said, no, we're going to, I'm going to be, I can call the shots and I can do whatever I want and so on. And I, you're not going to be surprised to hear that, to see that. Nowadays, a lot of astrologers, as I always say here, the majority of astrologers is woke, right? The majority of astrologers is woke. And if you go and search right now for Lilith, you will find lots and lots of pages who are saying that Lilith is great. Asteroid Lilith is amazing. It stands for feminine empowerment. It stands for sticking it to the patriarchy. You go girl, yes girl, whatever, that sort of stuff. You know what I mean, right? So Lilith has been turned into this symbol of feminist liberation or something like that, right? But these people who do this, first of all, they're bad astrologers. Secondly, they have no idea of the spiritual forces that are involved, right? No idea at all, because the part of the story that the woke astrologers leave out conveniently, or they try to kind of spin somehow, is that Lilith in the tradition, right? And this comes from a very authentic tradition. It comes from the Zohar. The Zohar is like a key text of the Kabbalah, right? Is a key text of mysticism, right? Of global mystical, humanity's mystical heritage, right? So Lilith, after leaving Adam, she became, what did she do after? Like she left Eden, right? Adam actually tried to submit her, tried to have her, back, but she used a spell. She used a spell and then she freed herself. She left Eden. She left the Garden of Eden. And she became a harlot for demons, for basically every demon that she could find, right? And she kind of, she gave birth to hundreds of offspring, right? From demons, demonic spawn, right? Hundreds of them. And even, basically she was with every demon that she could find, right? Half human, half demon children that she created. God even at some point sent an angel, sent angels to convince her to come, but she refused. And out of her spite and anger and so on, it is in the tradition, in the mystical tradition, it says that she still to this day continues to try to harm children or babies, right? So Lilith is, so take it from me. There ain't nothing positive about Lilith, okay? So any astrologer who tells you, oh, your Lilith is here, this is a great sign of feminist empowerment. No, tell them to shut it, okay? Tell them to shut it. They don't know what they're talking about. So we need to pray to the Lord Almighty to protect us from the forces and the influences of Lilith, right? Instead of turning her into some type of Thelma and Louise hero, right? Or something like that. That's some of these people are trying to do. So they don't know. They don't know better. They don't know the story, the depth of the spiritual transmissions, that warn of certain things, right? So what has Hollywood done? Has Hollywood connected to this? Hollywood, what has Hollywood done? So Hollywood, as we know, has turned into a dark place over, there's no comparison. Watch the movies of the great, the old classics, or even up to the 90s. The 90s still had great movies, amazing movies under the Uranus-Neptune conjunction, right? There was great movies, but even before the Golden Age and so on. So nowadays, what is it, right? The movies that are coming out of Hollywood, they're a disgrace. They're shameful, right? Just like ideologies, horrific ideologies, toxic stories, and at the center of that is the role of the woman and man, right? The woman who oversteps her bounds, the man who is not a man, who's not a real man, who doesn't take care of his family, who doesn't do this and does that, right? Those are the archetypes, the ideas that are very much in line with Lilith and the glorification and the worship of Lilith, right? Which are being presented in Hollywood under the woke ideology, which dominates, right? Which dominates still to this day, Hollywood. So Hollywood has been idealizing Lilith, right? And as I just showed you in the chart, right? In the chart, which is there is a certain divine judgment in charts, right? In the cosmic constellation, as I just showed you, Lilith, California, the Lilith worshipping California, got burned, right? Got burned in this, got hurt and got burned in this fire, as it's written in the chart, right? As it's written in the cosmic chart for that time. Now, okay, so what else? What else? Does this mean that's the story? That's the story. What about the other parts of the story? What about Gavin Newsom? What's his role? What's his role there, right? So this is a huge question, very important question. Those who know, and I'm going to tell you in a second. Before that, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so yet. Comment on this video. Very, very importantly, it's very important to get this thing growing and going, and more people, and right, like, comment. And this is a new channel still. You know, we only started recently, relaunched it. You know, it's not been even a year yet, so it's important. I appreciate your support very much, right? So Gavin Newsom, what about him? Gavin Newsom, those who know my channel, those who have been here, who have seen my previous videos from last year, you know that I've been talking a lot about Gavin Newsom, right? I've been saying that Gavin Newsom, I actually said that, I said a year ago that he would be making some big audacious moves around the time of the US election, right? I actually earmarked, I saw him becoming the leader of the globalists, right? I was expecting him to run against Trump, but the Democrats turned out to be pretty stupid. They put Kamala in, instead, and they lost. And it wasn't meant to be, not his time yet, right? But still, he has been making really big moves, right? So I said a year ago that around this time, and then I made another video closer to the election, and I said that after the election, there's going to be some massive unrest, right? And there's going to be some behind the scenes machinations, right? So all of this is very much fitting could be fitting with him having a hand in this, right? Him having a hand in this story, doing something. So it warrants a closer look. Let us have a closer look at Gavin Newsom's chart. All right, so Gavin Newsom's chart is very, very interesting. Very interesting, right? And I tell you, I'm going to tell you, like, right away, we're going to be talking a lot about this man on this channel still, and you will see why, right? So the first thing is that he's born with you can see here, a Jupiter-Venus conjunction, right? Jupiter-Venus conjunction. Actually, I didn't put the fixed star in here, but the fixed star Regulus is here on the 29th degree of Leo, right? Which is the fixed star Regulus. It's the most important fixed star that we have in astrology. It's the king of the kings of stars, the royal, king star, right? Alpha Leonis, the king of Leo, right? And this is known as the kingmaker. The star is the kingmaker, right? So the kingmaker star, right? Regulus, the little king, it's called Regulus, right? So, but it's the kingmaker star. It's what? It's with Jupiter, Venus, the most auspicious planetary combination that you can have, the greater and the smaller benefic, right? So extreme auspicious fortune. And this Jupiter, Venus is with the asteroids America, Wang Christie, Pallas. What is Pallas? Pallas, from Pallas Athene, the Greek goddess Pallas. She is the goddess of politics. Politics. So America, politics, right? And extreme fortune and king, right? So when you put these elements together, you see that this dude is predestined, right? Through whatever he may have done in previous lives, or whatever karma he has accumulated, right? Or whatever role he is supposed to play in the divine plan, in God's plan. This guy is going to become a very powerful, very well-known American politician on the highest level, right? So what does that mean, right? What does that mean? Obviously, this is why I had looked at him already from last year as this guy is going to run for president, right? Not just going to run for president, but he, there's still many, many years to go. The story has to unfold. We have to see what comes after Trump. We have to see what happens after that. Just, I'm telling you, don't take your eyes off this guy, right? Do not, right? So he's going to make a lot of moves. And he's destined to succeed in a lot of them. Now, what else? Now, apart from this constellation, which puts him at the helm of America at some point, right? At some point in future, right? Unless there are some very major counteracting forces or directly God's intervention, right? So what else does he have? He has we want to look at his character. We want to understand who he is, right? So when we want to look at his character, it's not very flattering. It's not very flattering. The sun is in Libra, opposite Saturn, with, serious guy who's a lot about, self, his beauty or his presentation or how he's seen, his appearance, right? And his appearance, sun with Narcissus, a Libra guy who is with sun with Narcissus, Fanatica, and Nephthys. Nephthys stands for, and Valhalla. Valhalla is like the heroes, the legends, the heroes. But then Nephthys stands for the Egyptian goddess which give rise to the Nephilim. The Nephilim, right? The Nephilim are this group of so-called, the offspring of angels and human. They were not real angels though. They were fallen angels. They lied to humanity saying they're real angels. They were fallen angels. And the Nephilim, right? So the legacy of the Nephilim, right? Which is basically fallen angels merging with humans, creating like offspring with humans, right? Fanatica and Narcissus are this narcissistic guy who has like this God complex, right? Is on his sun. This is who he is, right? And then you've got a lot of bad karma here. On his karmic axis, I'll leave this for future videos, but you got Balaam on his karmic axis and Lucifer and Machiavelli on his karmic axis. I'll leave this for future videos. We can decode this. We can see who he was in previous lives and what's his, you will see as time progresses, you will want to know more about this guy. I'm telling you right now. So when that time comes, you will know that Dr. V got you covered, right? So that time will come. So now let's see though specifically around what's happening here right now with the story, that's unfolding. So right now, he's got the Pluto-Uranus conjunction, right? Pluto-Uranus square Mars. So massive, these people are involved in big transformative crises, and he's acting very ruthlessly in those crises, right? And those crises gives him extreme power. He gets extreme power from those crises. This is the Pluto-Uranus, right? On his ascendant with square to Mars. And then on his ascendant as well with this Pluto, we got Munchausen. It's a German story, the Baron von Munchausen. It's a German story, which is a baron who lies, who's just notorious liar. Right? He lies all the time. He lies about everything. There's a lot of stories about the Munchausen, right? So we got Munchausen. Then you got Hermes, the trickster god, Hermes, and Deucalion. You see this? Deucalion. This Deucalion, it stands for the natural catastrophe, right? It's from a Greek mythology, natural catastrophe. So this is all on his ascendant. So what does it mean? He's involved in these powerful transformations that involve natural catastrophes, and he lies about them, We got Munchausen and Hermes, tricks and lies about them, right? And then all of that is in opposition to Chiron with California. You see here, asteroid California. So through this, he hurts California. He damages and hurts California, right? He damages and hurts California through lies and trickster behavior, right? Which brings him power. This is written in his chart, which I have just unveiled for you. So now, what does this mean for what happened in California? What does it mean for him? What does it mean what happened in California, right? So is it possible that at the same time we have something like there could be a divine judgment element, but at the same time there could be somebody like Gavin Newsom kind of, finessing the situation and benefiting from the situation, enacting plans, right, that, benefit him and people that he's backing? Is it possible that Alex Jones is right too? Is it possible that multiple narratives are true at the same time? Yes, it is. Well, I will let you put the puzzle pieces together for yourself. I will not tell you what kind of, how you put the things together yourself. I won't spell out every little bit. But this much I can say, in the coming months, I expect to see Gavin Newsom reap the benefits of what happened here. Because even though, yes, the people will hate him, and so he hurt California, yes, but there are some very powerful people who are going to be very happy with what happened. He's going to get their backing. He's collecting the backing of the most powerful globalist oligarchs, and especially people who are acting from behind the scenes. They're not even oligarchs. They're not even the billionaires that you know. There are some powerful people that you don't even know. They're not the Jeff Bezos and the Elon Musk. And so no, there are some other people who are in the background. You don't even know them, right? And they're powerful. They're calling the shots. They're calling the shots still in many places in the world, right? He's going to get the backing of all of those people. We're going to have to look 25, 26. We're going to have to look a lot at Gavin Newsom still, right? He's going to get more and more and more powerful, right? And he's going to start building up a globalist, American, democratic, counterweight system to Trump, right? To the Trump administration, to the no government. You'll see this transpire. So now, make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so yet, so you don't miss it as we observe the unfolding situation. Also, comment on this channel, comment on this video, and like it. It helps us grow and reach more people. If you want this content to reach more people, then please take the time to do that and help the algorithm push this forward. You're much, much appreciated. Now, let's think about the final thing that I want to share with you on this video. The final aspect that I want to share, the final perspective that I want to share with you is that if it's possible, now what's going to come next? What's going to come next? Is it possible, if it's possible, that all of these narratives are true at the same time, right? That there is an element of divine judgment, but at the same time, some manipulation and lies and deception that's going on, right? Which absolutely it is. I'm telling you, it is. It is possible, right? Multiple narratives can be true at the same time. It's a complex world. Just like in every chart, we see so many different complex aspects going on at the same time. It's not that you have we may single out one aspect to talk about it. At the same time, you got, 100 different aspects going on. And this corresponds with all of the different people who are doing things and all of the different causes that are being set in the spiritual world and then manifest into reality, into material reality. Imagine there's some people, manifesting this. There's other people downloading and manifesting this at the same time. It's happening at the same time. And oftentimes things happen, take shape, and they happen through this confluence of different manifestations, right? Oftentimes even opposed to each other, but they still take place in the same event. So now I want to talk about, is it possible, if it's possible that this is a divine judgment, what's next for Hollywood? Now, for this we need to understand one move that Trump made, a power move that he made recently, one of his biggest, best power moves, real Trump, beautiful, beautiful power move, which was putting Mel Gibson in as a special ambassador to Hollywood. And he just did that recently, right? It was one of the first things, right? In first week or something, second week in the administration, right? And this is huge. This is such a slap in the face of the Hollywood establishment. Why? Right? Why? Because this guy, you have to know, he was ostracized from Hollywood. He couldn't make a movie, right? He couldn't make a movie. He was ostracized. He was put aside. He was he had, he couldn't, nobody was answer his calls in Hollywood, right? Because they basically, what did he do? He called out the producers and the establishment who are serving dark interests, who are traffickers, who, poison people with their movies that they're producing, right? And who are just bad people. He called them out, right? What did they do? They tried to paint him as this monster. They said he's an anti-Semite. They tried to dig up dirt on him and everything, and they just kind of put him in a corner. Very similar to what they're trying to do with Elon Musk right now, right? They're trying to do with Elon Musk as well. They're trying to say, you're this, you're that, and so on, right? You can't really, obviously, Elon Musk is a powerful guy, right? But now, with Mel Gibson, this is really, really interesting because, and it's a beautiful arc. It's a beautiful story arc. This guy, he was out for so long, and now he's been put in as a special ambassador to Hollywood, right? And now when you look at his chart, is really interesting to see what kind of guy this is, right? So Mel Gibson, right? I'm just telling you this so you see how things connect, right? How things connect and how we can bring things together. So you got somebody here who he has got a sun with polyhymnia and imago The star Nunki is here too, which I didn't put in here. Star Nunki stands for fame with the people. And polyhymnia stands for artworks that endure the times. Imago stands for image or movie, right? Image. Obviously, movie is a kind of image, right? So he makes movies as a hero of the people that endures the time, right? He's got Arthur, Liberatrix, right? On his, and Eden. Yeah, he brings, you know, he's kind of this legendary, you know, he takes on the role of these legendary figures who are liberators. Just think about Braveheart and The Patriot, right? Like American, what was that movie was called? The Patriot, right? And what does he do? So why does it matter? Why does it matter for us here right now? Well, look, he's got this, you know, this constellation here with Mercury, right? Mercury and Chiron, which is with he says things that hurt, but that can be healing. It's with saga and nostalgia, opposite Uranus, and he does that in a revolutionary way. It's with Spartacus, okay? He does that in a revolutionary and rebellious way. He speaks truths that need to be spoken, that can be very painful, and it's in a square to Neptune with Ishtar, okay? Ishtar is what? Van Christian Ishtar. Ishtar stands for Babylon, okay? Babylon. So he speaks the truth that is painful and that is nostalgic for saga or legends, right? That are principled. And there's more here. I didn't even put everything in here. And he does that in a contradiction or in an attack on Ishtar and on the lies of Ishtar. What is Ishtar? Ishtar stands for Babylon, right? It stands for the decay of morals connected with Babylon. And Babylon is very important because of Mystery Babylon. Mystery Babylon, the harlot of Babylon, is another image that's symbolically, archetypically, strongly connected with the Lilith archetype, right? And with decay, moral decay, the harlot of Babylon, right? He speaks the truth against that type of decay.
In the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which, it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, you know? I don't know. Do they want the state empty?
Right? So I'm going full circle. He's been put into place as a special ambassador, right? So this means that even though there are dark machinations happening there and manipulations are happening there and people will become powerful through this, right? And that's part of the story and part of the narrative as it's unfolding, right? Nonetheless, after we can have hope, we can truthfully hope that, you know, and with good reason, we can hope that after the dust settles from these fires, on the ashes of this fire will rise a new phoenix, right? In Hollywood, in the place of where these big kind of dreamlike, you know, stories were born. And there will rise a cinema that does not poison the minds of children. And that does not poison, you know, people with crazy ideologies and narratives and so on that are just designed to push certain agendas. So it is possible to hope that this fire can be cleansing in some ways, because obviously too, in the spiritual, you know, science, we know that fire cleanses, fire cleans, fire cleanses and cleans. If you want to do a purification ritual, you need a fire. Obviously, it is sad and tragic that people have lost their lives and their livelihoods and their livestock and so on. And this is, you know, they're part of the tragedy, but also the unfolding beauty, right, of the story, which has suffering in it, but also always a new birth and a new dawn in it. Just we can hope for and we can know that the battle will not be easy, right? Battle will not be easy. There will be a battle going on. There will be a battle going on, but we can hope that something great can emerge again, right? So in hopes for that, I'll leave you with this. And again, write to me, in the comments, let me know how you feel about this and what you think, what your idea is, what your perspective is of how this fits together and what could have happened, right? So we got some community conversations going on, and your comments and your likes help also to grow this channel. I appreciate you very much. Be well, be blessed. All the best.